Welcome to the Child Care Director's Chair, the podcast for bold educators who are ready to lead, grow, and shake things up in early childhood education. Whether you're a teacher eyeing that lead role, a lead stepping into leadership, or a center owner dreaming big, this is your space to grow with purpose and leave your mark. Hosted by heart-centered leadership coach Erica Saccoccio, each episode brings you real talk, actionable tools, and a contagious laugh or two, all designed to help you step into your next level with confidence. So pour your coffee, pop in those earbuds, and take your seat, because your leadership journey starts right now in the Child Care Director's Chair.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the Child Care Director's Chair podcast. I'm your host, Erica Saccoccio, and today we're talking about a leadership framework that completely changed the way that I think about leadership in early childhood education. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever had one of those days that before 9 a.m., you've already handled staffing shortages, answered licensing questions, and confronted a frustrated parent? Or maybe you helped a teacher through a challenging behavior. Maybe it's approved payroll or ordering supplies. And somehow you're still expected to be the instructional leader of your program. I know you're laughing right now. It's because you've lived it. And the reality is, being a child care director is one of the most complex leadership positions there are out there. We aren't just managers. We aren't just educators. We aren't just business owners. We're all of those things at the same time. And I think that's why so many talented directors struggle. Not because they're bad leaders, not because they aren't working hard enough, and certainly not because no one ever explained to them what leadership in early childhood education actually looks like. For most leadership books, they're written for corporate America. Most business books don't understand the realities of childcare. And most education books focus solely on teaching and learning. But our world sits right in the middle of both. And that's why I love the whole leadership framework that was developed by McCormick Center for Childhood Leadership. Couldn't get that out. I have to tell you, the first time I saw the document, I actually reflected on the reality of our work. And I can remember exactly where I was. I was sitting at Rick College with a few colleagues who were working on their new master's leadership program, and they were going to use the framework as they built it out. And, the framework really does recognize that great leadership requires three distinct but very interconnected areas: administrative leadership, pedagogical leadership, and leadership essentials. And today we're going to break down all three areas and discuss why each matters and explore why the strongest directors intentionally develop all three. Because here's what I've learned over 25 years in the field. Directors who thrive are not necessarily the smartest, and they're not necessarily the most experienced, and they're not necessarily the most educated. The directors who thrive understand how to balance it all, three dimensions of leadership. And when that happens, everything changes: your team, your culture, your outcomes, and ultimately the experience for your children and families too. So let's dive in. What is this whole leadership framework that I speak of? Well, it was created because early childhood leadership is unique, and most industries separate leadership responsibilities. A principal focus primarily on the educational outcomes, and a business manager focuses on operations. And the HR director, well, they focus on the people. And a CEO, well, they focus on strategy. But in childcare, the director is often all three of those people. That's why I love this framework. It acknowledges that leadership isn't just one thing. Leadership is a combination of competencies working together. Think of it like a three-legged stool. The administrative leadership is one leg, pedagogical leadership is the other, and leadership essentials is the third. When one leg is weak, everything becomes unstable. When one leg is missing, well, the entire system falls over. And that's exactly what happens in programs. Administrative leadership is keeping the engine running. We'll start with that. It's the business side of leadership. It's the operational side. This is work that nobody sees, but everybody benefits from. So let's break it down. Budgeting. A budget isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. A budget is a reflection of your priorities. And every dollar tells a story. When directors understand budgeting, they can make informed decisions about staffing, materials, professional development, benefits, and program growth. Strong financial leadership creates stability, and stability creates trust. Also, enrollment management. Enrollment is the lifeblood of every program. Without enrollment, well, there's no revenue. And without revenue, there are no resources. And without resources, quality suffers. Enrollment management isn't just about filling the seats. It's understanding your market, building relationships with families, and creating systems and maintaining a reputation that keeps families coming through the doors. And human resources, of course, one of the most difficult responsibilities directors face is managing people. Hiring, onboarding, performance management, coaching, conflict resolution, retention. The stronger your HR practices are, the stronger your culture becomes. And compliance and licensing. Nobody gets excited about licensing regulations, but licensing protects children's, and compliance protects programs. And directors who understand that regulations thoroughly can spend less time reacting to problems and more time focusing on growth. And strong administrative leaders create systems that make compliance a natural part of a culture rather than a constant crisis. Strategic planning, well, the best directors don't simply manage today, they plan for tomorrow. Where's your program heading? What are your goals? What challenges are on the horizon? Strategic planning helps leaders move from surviving to thriving. And then let's talk about pedagogical leadership, the heart of quality. Pedagogical leadership, this is where directors become educational leaders. This is when we move beyond compliance and focus on quality. The question shifts from, are we doing this correctly, to, are we doing the right things for children? Understanding child development. Pedagogical leaders understand how children grow, how they learn, and how they develop. They know what is developmentally appropriate, they understand how play supports learning, and they help teachers connect theory to practice. And curriculum leadership. Strong pedagogical leaders don't simply purchase curriculum in a box. They understand curriculum. They evaluate the curriculum. They support implementation. They ensure curriculum reflects children's interests, developmental needs, and learning goals. And of course, we can't forget about assessments and observation. Assessment isn't about testing children. It's about understanding children. And pedagogical leaders help teachers use observations to make informed decisions about learning practices. Coaching teachers is one of the most important responsibilities directors have. And great directors understand we don't fix teachers, they develop teachers. They ask questions, they encourage reflection, and they provide feedback. And they create opportunities for growth, such as professional development. That training really, really matters. Pedagogical leaders connect professional development to classroom outcomes. They help teachers understand why new strategies matter and how to implement them successfully. Now, before we continue, I would like to thank one of our amazing podcast sponsors at All Brand New England. If you're a childcare owner or director, you already know how much time you spend ordering food, snacks, milk, paper goods, cleaning supplies, arts and crafts materials, office supplies, and all the other items that you need to keep your program going. That's why so many programs through Rhode Island, Mass, and New Hampshire rely on All Brand New England. What I appreciate about them is that they understand childcare. They aren't trying to fit childcare programs into a generic distribution model. The company specifically serves preschools, childcare centers, camps, and after-school programs, offering everything from food and produce to janitorial supplies, medical and safety products, and arts and crafts materials. They even offer flexible ordering and case pack options designed around the needs of programs like yours. So when you're managing enrollment, staffing, and quality improvement and everything else you have on your plate, having trusted partners matters. So thank you so much to All Brand New England for sponsoring the Child Care Directors Chair podcast and the Early Childhood Education Empowerment Conference. All right, guys, let's get back into the conversation. Leadership essentials, so important. If administrative leadership is the engine and pedagogical leadership is the heart, then leadership essentials are the foundation. This is about who the leader that you are. This is what people experience when they work with you. Are you self-aware? Every leader has strengths. Every leader has blind spots. And the most effective leaders understand both. They know how their actions impact others. They understand their triggers, and they understand their communication style. They also understand how they show up. And of course, emotional intelligence is huge. Leadership is emotional work, and people bring stress. Families bring concerns, and teachers, well, they bring you challenges. And the ability to regulate your emotions and respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively is one of the most valuable leadership skills you can develop. And communication is not what you say. Communication is what people hear. And strong leaders communicate with clarity, consistency, and purpose. And building relationships. Leadership is built on trust, and people follow leaders that they trust. Teachers stay for leaders that they trust. And families recommend programs led by people, guess what? That they trust. Those relationships matters. Resilience, childcare leadership is not for the weak. There will be staffing shortages, without a doubt. I don't care how many extra people you hire. There will be difficult conversations. There will be setbacks. But resilient leaders learn, they adapt, and they continue moving forward. Why are all three of these necessary? Well, that's the biggest takeaway from this episode. You cannot lead effectively with only one part of the framework. If you're an amazing administrator, but weak at pedagogical, you're going to run into problems. You're going to run a compliant program that lacks educational excellence. If you're an incredible instructional leader, but weak administratively, well, you're going to struggle with sustainability. If you're strong in both, but you lack leadership essentials, you'll have knowledge, but you're going to struggle to inspire people. And the whole leadership requires all three. And that's exactly why this framework resonates with me, because it recognizes leadership as a journey of continual growth, not perfection, growth. And they also just had their leadership conference this week. And one of our trailblazers, Annette, had the privilege of speaking twice over this weekend. Spoke on Wednesday and spoke again on Friday. So my closing thoughts of this as we wrap up today. I want you to think about one question. Which area of the whole leadership framework is your strength? Which area needs your attention? Maybe you're naturally gifted at building relationships, or maybe you're highly organized and operationally strong. Maybe you're passionate about curriculum and coaching. Celebrate your strengths, but don't stop there. The goal isn't about becoming exceptional in one area. The goal is becoming well-rounded in all three. Because children deserve it, your teachers deserve it, your families deserve it, and honestly, you deserve to become the leader that you're capable of being. Because we all know leadership isn't a title. Leadership is a commitment to growth. And every day we choose growth, we become better for the people that we serve. So if today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to do two things. First, share this episode with another director, owner, educational coordinator, or emerging leader. And secondly, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We're working towards our goal of reaching 100 reviews, and every single review helps us reach more leaders in the early childhood profession. And if you're looking for a community of leaders, you're committed to growth and accountability and becoming strong in all areas of leadership, then come check out the Trailblazers Leadership Community. You don't have to walk it alone. So thank you for spending a little part of your day with me. Thank you for all the work that you do for children, families, and educators. And thank you again for tuning in to the Child Care Director's Chair podcast.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Child Care Director's Chair, where we believe leaders aren't born, they're grown. If something sparked for you today, share it, shout it out, or pass it along to the next bold changemaker in childcare. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected with Erica Saccoccio for more real talk leadership tools and a whole lot of inspiration. Until next time, lead with heart, grow with fire, and always remember, the chair is yours. Now own it.